Hello, and welcome back to Coach's Corner. It is a Monday, July 1st, when you're going to be hearing this, but it is Friday. I kind of teased it. I teed it up on Friday, hitting the ball now of like, hey, this is the show. We're here. And so maybe some news happened, maybe some news, didn't happen. Either way, I want to take this episode as kind of a step back, a little bit of a reflection of life. I haven't prepared anything, like normally I'll do a little bit of prep where I look up stats or I have true opinions or anything. For this one, I just have these three bulletin points that I'm going to talk about and kind of reflect on my journey. It's a life episode. It's kind of going to be hopefully a time capsule episode, something I can look back on and point to that, being like, hey, that was kind of cool. It's something that my peers can look at. It's something, that I hope people take away and learn a little bit more about me and my journey through what I'm doing now, what I want to be doing in the future. Just thought it'd be kind of a cool little, like I said, a step back, a look at the big picture, because I feel like we do that. We don't do that enough as people, is we don't look at the big picture and reflect on things that we've done as a sports fan. I kind of think of everything in sport terms, and so this is kind of like a you get to the end of a championship or something and you look back at all the little details here and there, like what you did do, prep, you watch film, like you kind of reflect on everything. And so in a way this is that, but although I know I'm not celebrating a championship, I don't have anything right now, but I don't know. I thought it would be something cool to kind of talk about. Like I said, let people know me because, I mean, if you listen to this, I feel like you do know me a little bit, but I don't, I guess, talk enough about my journey, what it means to me, what I've learned, all that good stuff. And so that's what this is going to be. Like I said, if anything news happened, I'm sorry. If it's like Patrick Mahomes was secretly traded or he now owns half of the Chiefs, I'm sorry. We'll cover that maybe. Maybe I'll put in a new section. But for now, I'm just going to, like I said, go through the little list I made for myself. And the first one is my journey to where I am now. So basically, the way my sports media journey started was I had played football. I had been a sports fan since 2008. I always say that I came in with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan came to the NFL, and that's when my memory kind of starts for sporting events, and sporting events line up with basically everything else I kind of think about and remember in my memories I click to. So came in with Matt Ryan as a sports fan. I started football in the 5th grade. I might get some details here wrong, but started football in the 5th grade. I played until my sophomore year of high school, where I decided it's not in the cards anymore. Frankly, it wasn't. Some people will be like, oh, I blew out my knee, my back was hurting, this, that, and the other. For me, it was none of that. For me, it was a burnout of the sport that I did love. And it wasn't the playing aspect that I was like, this is too much for me. It was, I'm just not getting enjoyment out of this anymore. And sports are a game. We kind of largely think about it more. The sports mean more than what they are, but when you boil it down, sports are entertainment. They're a game for us to enjoy playing, for us to stay active, or just enjoy watching. And so I had fallen out of love with playing. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I knew I still loved the sports world. I still loved football, like I did, like not playing it. So I decided, it's either probably going to have to go into management, sports management, or sports media. And I mean, like I said, you listen to this show, I love talking about sports. I love, conversating, having my opinion about anything in the sporting world. So that's what I did. I decided to, I explored sports management for some period of time, but I really dove into the sports media side of it. I, worked at the Lambert Post, which was it was a journalism class in high school where basically I wrote for the Lambert newspaper, website, whatever you want to call it. I was a sports editor. Maybe I did a little bit of liberties and I maybe could have done more to apply myself in that class, but still, I feel like I did put out good products. I did try and keep up with the sports scene as much as I could as a high schooler. Like, And, when you're younger, you don't realize all the ways that you could have done this better. You could have worked harder here and there. You have like you work hard mentality, but you don't know how much you really can do until you get, I think, to the level I'm at where I feel confident now in what I'm doing. So I did enough, but I probably could have done more. At that time, I had kind of also started my own website, which, fun fact, I can't log into my website. I was going to try and do something, but I can't log in. It's Weebly. I'm sorry, you're a terrible platform. Whatever you're doing is messing me up. I'm sorry. That's side note. But I started LK Sports Talk, and when I started it, I've toyed with, I think, a lot of names with it, but LK Sports Talk had always just stayed with me because my initials are LK, my nickname is LK. To my friends, like, Sports Talk, it just kind of, it flows enough to where I think it works, and so I kept that. And I've done a lot of things with that website. I've written over baseball, I've written over basketball, I've written over football. I tried the local scene, I tried the national scene. Nothing really stuck with me until I really kind of focused on football, and that's what it is now technically. That's what it sits as now, as an NFL analysis type of website. But it went through a lot of different phases. If you remember, I did power rankings on there of NBA teams. That was a lot. I did a lot with that website, where I am proud of it still to this day. And I still think it does look really good. And, if I can ever figure out the login, maybe I'll be back to it. But I did that in high school. Like I said, I went through my lumps, and I had a Braves reliever's dad call me an asshole. That was an experience. Because that story is funny, because basically I had made an article about Sean Newcomb moving. He moved to the bullpen because he was a starter. They tried him out, wasn't really that good. He either loved throwing 96 and getting it by the guy, or it would go 500 feet. And he got hit in the head by a line drive, and basically kind of switched to the bullpen as a long inning bullpen guy. And I worded it a little bit funny. I said it was a blessing in disguise. And apparently, Sean Newcomb's dad does enjoy to surf the web, surf the Twitterverse, and he found my article. Out of everything that happened, Sean Newcomb's dad found my one-off article about his son. And I guess he didn't appreciate that I called his son getting hit in the head a blessing in disguise. Although the wording might have been wrong, he was more suited for a bullpen role. I will still stand by that. It was better he was in the bullpen, and we got that because he got hit in the head, and he couldn't be a starter anymore. Or he couldn't be a starter. When he came back, they were like, hey, you're actually better as a bullpen guy here. I was still kind of right, but bad wording. My bad, Bill Newcomb. I'm sorry. That's my apology. I tried talking with him through Twitter like that, and he still, that's when he called me an asshole. So that was my early experiences in sports media in high school. And then I took some breaks here and there. That's kind of we'll get to taking breaks and consistency and all that good stuff here in a little bit, but I had taken some breaks here and there. I made my way through Georgia Southern. They don't really have any great media plans. Like, they don't have a great journalism stuff. Maybe I could have found, obviously I probably could have found stuff if I had applied myself more, and I didn't, because I hated Georgia Southern. I just hated it. Not my cup of tea. Didn't join a frat. Everyone's in a frat there, whatever. I decided to transfer there in September. I got there in August. I was ready to come home. And then COVID happened. Rudy Gobert touched all the mics. Sports shut down. I packed my car that night. I was like, it was spring break too. It was the lead up to spring break. I packed my car the night the NBA started canceling games, because I knew I was probably going to be heading home with a lot of my stuff. Sure enough, a whole pandemic later, here we are. But I get out of there. I was going to go to Athens, I was going to go to UNG, basically. UNG Oconee has a campus and that's basically Athens. It's 20 minutes from Athens. So I transfer there, and, I'm like, I got to get into Georgia. I get into Georgia in the spring. Then we're there and in the journalism program, because that was another thing about UGA journalism. I'm sorry, but like, why do we have to apply? Why do we have to apply to a major? I don't get that. That whole aspect never made sense to me. I thought I had missed the deadline, but I didn't. I was a dumb idiot. Know your deadlines. Know your deadlines, and you'll be okay. That's more advice. But it took me a little bit. I finally got into the journalism program itself. I applied for the sports media program. I got denied my first year. You can only apply in the spring. I came back the next year. I applied again. I got in. And those classes have been very good to me. My professors have all been very good to me. And they've taught me things that have made me, I guess, think about how I want to approach this, how I want to be me, because in the end, I feel like that's all you can do is be you. Because in the end, sports media is about telling stories. It's about telling your stories, how you view the world. That's just storytelling, is telling how you see things. And so that's what I want to do with sports, and that's what I am doing with sports. And they kind of like helped me figure out certain definitions in my mind of what I want to do, like what I want to interpret this space as. So I appreciate them for that. And I, realized I had to start making plans for an internship. I applied to several places, really didn't get any responses because I was waiting for a certain summer to come up, the one right before my senior year, to really apply to places, and I did. Shout out the North Carolina Collegiate Summer Baseball people who did interview me. But then 680 The Fan hit my line. That is what I'm wearing now. Interviewed with them. They were very gracious enough, and that is where I'm at right now. So, that's my from then to now. Like I said, it's taken a long time, but I'm here now, and I feel good. Things that I've learned through my journey. I mean, consistency, I feel like, is key. In the end, I like joke about it because I haven't been the best about consistency, because I just haven't. Like, it's hard to keep up with things sometimes. You're doing your day-to-day life stuff, and like you're working and stuff, and it's hard to keep up that consistency. Now, I feel like I've done a really good job now that I have a good set schedule. That's how I'm coming up with these episodes like right after I work out in the mornings. It's that kind of consistency. You can find it. It just takes time, and eventually you'll hit that spot. So that's something I've learned. I've learned to apply myself more, because that, like I mentioned that earlier, is just like I could have done more, but you don't realize that in the moment. You don't realize until you reflect. And like I said, it's kind of a sports thing. It's kind of a football thing where it's like reflect, do film, all that good stuff. What you can do next time to better yourself. Like if I could do my journey again, I could probably be more involved, because that's just it's one of those things where I'm not nervous to approach anything. It's just you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know really where to go, and you're just unfamiliar with things until you like really get experience. You don't know. So that's another thing I've learned. Really just being open, like just open to things, whether it's like new experiences, new thoughts from people. Like you can't be close. You can't be closed minded. Like that's kind of a general thought. It's just like everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own thing, and you kind of just have to accept them for that. And they're going to, let you know about their experiences, and that's kind of, you just gotta listen. Just be, like I said, listen and be open to people. And like I mentioned earlier, is like how I want to shape this sports media space for me is like I want it to be enjoyable. I want it, like, it's something my mom told me like a long time ago, is like if you work with something you love, you never work. That's kind of a common thing, like a common saying, but it's something I've really taken to, where it's like if I'm not enjoying something, I'm not going to do it. Like, if I'm not enjoying something, I'm going to look elsewhere to do something else. And like certain things you can't, like certain things you have to, like me working at Kohl's. I didn't mention anything of my other like miscellaneous jobs, but I worked at Kohl's for a long time, three and a half years. The last half year, I was kind of mailing it in. I enjoyed my time. Obviously, they're great people. Shout out to them. I was kind of mailing it in. I was showing up, doing I want the bare minimum. I was showing up and doing what I needed to do, and then just kind of making sure things weren't out of order. Just those things happen. Either way, I would have left probably if I had to be there another year. I would have left. I would have left at the beginning of this year, but I didn't. I knew there was a timeline I had to follow, and I got to the end of the timeline, and now I'm not there anymore. Which, like I said, they were still great to me. I appreciate them a lot, but just don't do things you don't like to do. There's a couple things you won't like, but it's because it's in the process of doing what you love. You're gonna not enjoy doing every cut up of audio ever in the world, but you're in the sports media space and you're doing as a whole what you love. But it's when you don't love what you're doing as a whole is when you got to stop. The microcosms or whatever, but what happens inside of it is those are just sometimes lumps you got to do. But as a whole, if you don't love what you're doing as a whole, don't do it anymore. It's what I did with playing football. It's I didn't love it anymore, so I stopped. So I say all that to say, those are just a couple of things that I've learned. And going back to what I want this space to be. I was taught a lot of things my intro year. I was taught, I guess this is headed to my advice coming up, is I was taught a lot of stuff where it's leave your fandom at the door. Don't wear your team branded stuff. And I mean, I feel like I've kind of, I won't say ragged on my professors about that or kind of messed with them about it, because it's very true. I did not agree with that. I don't agree with it now. I didn't agree with it then. It's still something that I have a problem with, is because what makes us great storytellers is where we come from, is where our fandoms were. And it's not even about, you have to be in the press box cheering, because I know that's an anti thing. That's, it's taboo. I'm not saying be in the press box and be yeah, but you can have those feelings still. You don't have to shelve them forever. That you don't have to leave that all behind. You can be a fan still. And it's really not being a fan of the teams that you grew up loving. It's being a fan of the sport as a whole with a little bit of love for your team. It's a healthy balance. Like anything in life, it's a healthy mix of things. It's a healthy balance, and fandom is no different. Fandom and this job is no different. Be a fan, but then also don't be a super biased loser. You're going to have your, unconscious biases, but don't let them take over your work. Just let them tell their own story the way you're going to tell the story. Because like I said, we all come from different backgrounds. We're all in sports media. We're all in sports fandom for different reasons of why we grew up and whatnot. And being a fan is why I want to do this. Don't leave that at the door. Take it with you. Wear it as a badge of honor. Have some pride. Have some pride in who you are. It's just something that I have a problem with in sports media. It's just we're journalists first. No, we're people first. We're people first. We're telling stories around the world. And this doesn't even just apply to sports journalism. This is journalism as a whole. It's just, we are people. We're not journalists. We're people that tell stories. That's what we do. And being yourself, I feel like, is something that people should do more often. Being authentic is something that I really pride myself on. And I'm not saying you have to show all of your issues. You don't. But I feel like wearing some of that stuff and showing that you are human creates that level of authenticity between you and the person. And that's just good. It's just good to me. So be you. I feel like it's a very corny type of thing to say, but things are corny for a reason. They're corny because they're true. So be you. Another piece of advice, like I said, just apply to things. If you get denied, this is just apply to things that are new, apply to things that you missed out on. I told you in my story is I got denied from sports media program, came right back the next year, was good to go. I applied for the 680 internship. I didn't hear a word. I didn't even get an email being hey, no. I just didn't hear any response. I came back the next year. Here I am. So like if you get punched down, don't let it keep you down. Get back up, just apply to the next year, apply when you get some more stuff on your resume, stuff like that. Just apply yourself more. And then, like I said, new opportunities. The opportunities are out there. You just got to look for them and you'll find them, and you'll figure out quickly if it's a fit or not. Because sometimes you will apply to a new thing and immediately it just doesn't work that great for you. And you'll realize it's not a fit for me. And you'll leave and go on your way. I worked at Home Depot for a month. I realized after a month it was not a fit for me. I left very quickly. You'll know immediately. You don't have to be tied down to something just because, unless it is a legal contract, I suppose, but regardless. Trying to think of any other advices things. Networking is important. I'm not good at it. I'm just not. It's just I'm not a great people person. If like I can interact, don't get me wrong. I can network, but I'm probably not as good as I should be. If you are just be better at networking than I am, and you'll probably do a lot better than I am. You'll be on your journey a lot quicker than I am, but I've still made good connections. I've still met good people that have helped me out and appreciate those people. So, I'm trying to think through anything else. I don't. That might do it for me. I mean, just a couple words of advice. Like I said, like I said, I kind of want to look back at this episode. This is, like I said, kind of a time capsule because, like I said, this will be on the internet. This will be forever because internet things are forever. And it'll be cool to look back on, but I do think it is helpful for those coming up. If anyone interacts with me and I point them to Coach's Corner, I can point them to this. Younger people than me just enjoy it. It's just one of those things. Like it. In the end, it's sports media. We're covering a sport, and a sport is entertainment. It is a game, and people try and make it more than what it is. But sometimes you can boil it down to a simple issue like that. Like you can just boil it down to the simple phrase where it is a game. It is entertainment. Sports are not a necessary thing in the society. It's been entrenched in it, and now it is a very big industry, and it matters a lot to a lot of people. But in the end, it could all go away, and we could all just not be journalists. We could all just not cover the sport. It could quickly go away like that if it really wanted to. But obviously, with the money and stuff, it is way more of a big industry that probably won't go away unless something catastrophic happens. So just enjoy it, be grateful, and that's my last piece of advice for journalism as a whole. Be grateful that you get to do this job because we really probably take for granted our rights, and we probably say, we have freedom of speech, this, that, and the other. When in reality, it's we probably don't. A lot of countries do not have the same rights and freedoms, and it's not our right. It truly is. It's like if the government wanted to come down and really kind of own the media and stuff and take away our rights as much as people think they do, we could be a lot worse off than we are. So we're still doing better than a lot of people, and I don't think we remember that a lot. And just be grateful that we get to do what we do. That's my probably last piece of advice. But that'll do it for me. That'll do it for this weird but I hope insightful episode of Coach's Corner. We'll be back with normal episodes, hopefully with the next couple. But that'll do it for me. Goodbye.